The cause of the global food crisis is unknown. I urge you to be vigilant against various threats, not just natural disasters. Much more complex, it appears to be a part of a larger strategy to manage people in a new system invented by someone. This means that 2022 will be a year of severe water and food shortages, causing unprecedented economic and social chaos. Welcome to the Financial Flow. Please like and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up on our latest videos. According to the information I've just gathered about food shortages in January 2022, the global food crisis is coming sooner than expected. The plan also includes food and supplies shortages. In my opinion, this is far worse than the supply chain issues we've had since the health crisis began. Not just certain foods, toilet paper, microchips, lumber, plastic, and other materials. Alternatively, I'm referring to the basic necessities we take for granted. This will be difficult for those unprepared. Even if they are aware, many will be unable to assist until it is too late. To avoid the same fate, they may be close family or friends. Watch the whole video. Never assume a lack of food is a natural occurrence. Perhaps you've noticed that many of these engineering experiments take place in countries the average Westerner has never heard of or can locate such remote and unknown regions. These countries were chosen as test subjects to keep you in the dark. Increasing costs and a lack of energy resources are key variables affecting supply chains, and thus linked to the looming food crisis. Let us examine a recent Central Asian rebellion in light of the preceding circumstances. How well informed are you on current events in Kazakhstan? Kazakhs marched in protest of Russia's near usurpation. Kazakhstan was seized by the USSR and remains in Russia's sphere of influence. Semipalatinsk test site, Kazakhstan, closed in 1991 after 40 years of operation. In my opinion, Russia will consolidate its monopoly over US natural resources and energy businesses. Russia made a wise choice as oil and gas prices rose. Kazakhstan's natural resources include coal, gas, and oil. Access to this wealth of energy comes at the expense of others, which is why uranium exports are high in the country. This means energy will be more expensive for Europe than for the United States, which is bad news for American companies doing business in Kazakhstan. It's difficult to get Russians out of your nose, said Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on January 7. Turkmenistan may face similar issues to Kazakhstan, another former USSR country now in Russia's domain. The situation is also complex. Turkmenistan supplies most of the region's power and gas. It's no coincidence that Turkmenistan passed a slew of food laws last November. Amid the current region unrest, new rules were set to take effect in early 2022. As a result of new legislative restrictions on access to state-run stores in Turkmenistan's provinces, where residents can buy food at lower costs, several supermarkets have already begun limiting food. The new law prohibits subsidized meals for inmates and Turkmen migrant workers who live and work abroad. Despite the country's natural resources, millions of poor people will continue to face a food crisis. We know how it ends. Watch what happens in these energy-rich countries between China and Russia, where the average citizen struggles to survive. Prevent a global food disaster and protect your interests by controlling trade routes and borders. Nothing is by chance, and it's all happening right in front of us. Food insecurity-related violence is not limited to non-US countries. The same thing happens in the West because hunger knows no borders. The UK is reportedly facing a food crisis. Street violence is on the rise. A recent YouGov poll revealed that the British outperformed 12 other EU countries when it comes to coping with food and fuel shortages. Sadly, the US came second after the UK voted. Australia's situation mirrors the global trend. According to reports, supermarket fresh food may be scarce. Michael Rogers, CEO of the Australian Fresh Produce Alliance, says several shortages are imminent. Due to the health crisis and staff shortages, farms leave produce to rot and decay due to lack of transportation and ticketing. We saw similar trends before the 2008 financial crisis. They hope to make it harder to get food by raising commodity prices and disrupting supply chains. This causes a widespread uprising. We know that rising food prices sparked the Arab Spring. Then came new leaders and demographics, which benefited many of these countries. A climate was created for central banks to keep printing money. Commodity prices have risen sharply recently, making the current situation even more difficult. Worse, we're seeing even more radical experimentation in countries worldwide. This site explains a fake global food crisis. First, it's not just a case of empty grocery shelves. Your favorite foods will still be available, but their prices will have risen due to rising commodity costs. Is this happening right now? The Washington Post reports that by December 2021, prices will have risen 40 years. This year's total is over 7% higher than in 2020. I don't believe it's just a few products like we saw at the start of the health issue. From eggs and flour to steak, every commodity is feeling the pinch. Beef prices rose around 20% in a year, while meat prices rose around 16%. Price gouging is defined as follows. In any case, let's see how they execute their plan. A sudden health crisis affects the entire supply chain and workforce. They said it would be over quickly, and now they say it won't. The next step is to use the health issue to justify massive money printing and economic inflation. Some $2,000 stimulus in checks won't do much for the average American, but they will help move the ball forward. Their methods are surprisingly simple. The second stage of the strategy begins with the deterioration of the supply chain, workforce reduction, and adverse weather effects on entire regions. As electricity prices rise, so do endemic animal disease incidences. Many natural and man-made factors have caused a sudden market shortage. Even the most well-behaved citizen can be turned into a thief by seeing their children hungry. Imagine the plight of millions of parents who are hungry. Famine-stricken people reacted by killing and looting in mass. When the police force is inadequate, they become involved in the unrest because they are part of society and their families are affected. Consider Kazakhstan. During the Kazakh protests, some police officers did nothing. When things go wrong, a police force is not a guarantee. Involvement will not stop the rising tide of theft and other criminal activity. As far as I know, no one will help you if hungry looters knock on your door. You must first take care of yourself and your family. So, what are you doing to prepare? Its last phase involves implementing the plan and regulating people. Hunger and pain make people more likely to obey and be submissive. They must follow the game's new rules. The answer to why this plan is required is simple. Global population is expected to reach 10 billion by 2050. In other words, billions of consumers will have to make do with less. That is, minus a few families. There will be 10 billion angry and hungry people in 2050. A method with fewer people is being considered. Those who are naturally or unnaturally weak will be excluded. That they eat things that aren't even on the menu for us is beyond me. 60 years ago, the Chinese were severely food deprived. It's not fair to say that people ate insects or boiled their leather garments and water to eat isn't fair. If you're curious, you can look into it. I don't recommend it if you're easily disturbed. As you may have noticed, food and energy prices have risen to near record highs globally, including in the US. We are aware of the current supply chain chaos caused by various issues. One of the supply chain's earliest nodes is having issues. Shortages in farming, truck drivers, and shipping followed. Have you ever wondered what China has been doing? China's food reserves continue to grow far beyond its needs. Last November, Chinese citizens were advised to stockpile water and food for the winter. Who told their parents to focus on this winter months ago? I'll let you make the call. Food shortages will worsen due to an increase in animal diseases. The shortage of chicken and eggs will cause significant increases in prices. Natural disasters only exacerbate the situation. I will not call the simultaneous global wildfires coincidental or natural. Due to their location, these woodlands are frequently wet. This makes it difficult to start a fire naturally. You may wonder why someone would purposely set fire to something. In short, deforestation causes severe climate change, which can negatively impact agriculture. Due to increased demand for wood products, prices for timber and toilet paper will rise. Don't you think both of these categories are in trouble? Extreme rain or drought threaten farms more than anyone else. This year's harvest should be poor as a result. A solar storm may occur in 2014. Solar storms can damage satellites and disrupt communications. Geomagnetic storms can even knock out power grids, as in 1859 in Europe and the US. No electricity means we'll need candles. I urge you to replenish your food and water supplies in anticipation of future shortages. It's better to get things done early. If there are many videos online showing how to do it anyway. Even if they think you're exaggerating and promoting conspiracy theories. The system has led many to believe that preparation is unnecessary. If your grandparents are still alive, ask them about these plans. Many people saw the practice of stockpiling food for a few months as a necessary evil. Sudden serious disagreements may occur. Preparedness is prudent, because if nothing happens, you will have a surplus of food that you and your family can use. Is that risky? Anyone who didn't stockpile food and water for the foreseeable future was considered insane. Nowadays, people rely on supermarkets and look for creative ways to prepare meals using ingredients from home. They are fearless because of their ignorance and exhaustion. If they go grocery shopping and see empty shelves, they'll realize they can't find what they need. Commodity markets and supply chains are no exception. and can be used to undermine a country's security. An enemy will have an easier time if your supply chain has a flaw. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Have a good one.